Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, Bapak Ibu. Selamat pagi. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan, Rahayu. Tabipun. So, the Honorable Dean of Teacher Training and Education Faculty, Universitas Lampung, Dr. Alvin Mandiantoro, MDD, on this occasion represented by Vice Dean 1 for Academic and Collaboration Affairs, Dr. Rizwandi, MPD. The Honorable, our distinguished speaker, Associate Professor Peng from University of Manitoba, Canada. The Honorable, to our collaborative partners, Associate Professor Peng from University Science Malaysia. The Honorable, our esteemed professors of the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Lampung, all lecturers and PhD students who have already attended today's event. Thank you very much. First of all praise to Allah. Let's express our gratitude of His blessings, allowing us to gather here in this beautiful morning, in this nice occasion, to learn together, to visit or to attend International Visiting Professor with this special theme, SSCI article publication, an example from teaching and teacher education. My name is Nita Sitarama, and I serve as both Master of Ceremony as well as moderator. And allow me to broadly go through the agendas as follows. The first is opening. Second, an opening speech that will be spoken by our collaborative partners. The third is a welcoming speech from the Dean of Teacher Training and Education Faculty. Fourth, main session, that is visiting professor session. And then the fifth, there will be delivering a certificate or symbols of appreciation to the speaker, followed by photo session and last closing. Bapak Ibu, ladies and gentlemen, in order to have a smooth and successful event, let's begin today's event by saying Basmalah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We will then move to our next session, that is a short opening speech from our collaborative partners, University Science Malaysia. In this case, it will be spoken by Associate Prof. Peng. Time is yours.
Thank you, Miss MC. Good morning, selamat pagi to all. Bapak-bapak, ibu-ibu yang tampan dan cantik sekali. Nice to meeting you in Lampung, Indonesia. I'm Dr. Tien from University Science Malaysia, USM. USM actually signed Memorandum of Understanding with ULILA since 2 years ago during Pak Rizwandi and Pak Hassan with the team went to USM 2 years ago. We are very happy, and I can see that there are always active collaboration between USM and ULILA. For your information, ULILA already contribute 3 book chapters with us. Yeah, 3 book chapters in Springer and also Ramesh in Terror and Francis. Thank you for Pak Hassan under the leadership. We will get it. And another activity that we work closely is for the PATH project, which we will have the discussion later on, and funded by Hong Kong Polytechnic University. And now the research in progress, very good progress, and we wish for the best towards the end. Yeah. All right. So I'm actually the director of National Higher Education Research Institutes in USM, and also the director of Commonwealth Tertiary Education Facility under the Ministry of Higher Education in Malaysia, as well as Secretariat in UK under the Queen Elizabeth Office. We hope more collaboration will come after this. And of course, today, this is not the highlight. The highlight for today is International Visiting Professor entitled SSCI article publication, an example from teaching and teacher education. I think ULILA has made a very wise decision to invite Professor Peng from University of Manitoba Canada, my colleague, my good friend, and who I definitely no doubt on his ability to write paper in SSCI. Most of the paper published in prestigious journals where we take this opportunity to learn from him. Yeah, so let's welcome Professor Peng from University of Manitoba. Over to you. Thank you.
Thanks. So, good morning.
Would you like to have a short speech, maybe, to open the session? Well, your main session is actually later after. Later, okay. So, yeah. Thank you, Dr. Peng. It's also such an honor for us to have you this morning in our campus. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now we are going to hear a welcoming speech from the host institution. So, representing Bapak Dr. Alvin Mediator MPD, here we have the Vice Dean 1 for Academic and Collaboration Affairs, to Dr. Rizwan MPD. The floor is yours.
Terima kasih, Miss. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Good morning, everyone. Spesial for Ibu Tien dan Pak Peng. In Lampung have greetings, special greetings, is local wisdom. If I say tabi pun, answer iya pun.
That's a special greetings in our province. When we say Tabi Pun, please answer Ya Pun.
Ya, tabi pun.
Ya Pun.
Distinguished guests, respected colleagues, and their students, on behalf of the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Lampung, it is my great pleasure we welcome you all to this visiting lecture program, a meaningful collaboration between FIP Unila, University Science Malaysia (USM), and the University of Manitoba, Canada. This initiative reflects our shared commitment to strengthening academic partnership, fostering international engagement, and advancing the quality of education through the exchange of knowledge and perspective. Kami merasa terhormat dengan kedatangannya Ibu Profesor Lee Tien dari Universitas USM yang nanti akan memberikan kuliah bersama kita semuanya. Dan beliau ini saat ini saya dengan Prof. Tien ada satu artikel yang masih dalam under review. Ya. Jadi Bapak Ibu, ternyata ketika kita telusuri, seperti saya mengikuti jurnal yang pernah Prof. Tien publish. Jadi saat ini saya penulis pertama, salah satu penulis anggotanya Prof. Tien dan Prof. Hasan. Jadi ini juga menjadi strategi buat kita semua. We are really privileged to welcome our keynote speaker, Bapak Profesor Peng from the University of Manitoba, Canada, who will lead today's visiting lecture session under the theme SSCI article publication and example of teaching and teacher education. This topic is highly relevant, particularly for academic and postgraduate student. Ini juga hadir Bapak Ibu yang mahasiswa S3 who are striving to enhance their research quality and publish in reputable international journals. Through these sessions, participants will gain a global insight into the process of developing high-impact scholarly articles, understanding the standard of SSCI journal, and learning practical strategies for successful strategy publication, especially within the field of teaching and teacher education. Ini sangat tepat bagi kita dan ini semuanya apa yang disampaikan oleh beliau berdua. Furthermore, this activity is expected to open wider opportunities for collaborative research, joint publication, and future academic exchange among our institutions. It also serves as platform for sharing best practice, innovative methodologies, and current trend in the educational research that are relevant to global change. May this collaboration continue to grow and bring lasting benefit to our institution and academic communities. Thank you, and I wish you all a productive and inspiring session. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. 3:10 Bapak Dr. Iswanti, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, Dr. Iswanti, for this warm message. Warm welcome to all of us today. Alright, Bapak Ibu, ladies and gentlemen, now we are coming to the main agenda of today's event, that is a presentation session from our respected speaker, Associate Prof. Peng actually, from the University of Manitoba, Canada. But please, for that, allow me to briefly introduce our speaker. So, Associate Professor Peng is a lecturer in Educational Administration, Foundation, and Psychology, University of Manitoba, Canada. His research interests include effective leadership, cross-cultural leadership, term leadership, and many more. And also, he has published articles in peer-reviewed journals and many other journals. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Associate Prof. Peng from University of Manitoba. The floor is yours.
Hello. So this is my presentation topic. It's SSCI article publication, for example, from the teaching and the teacher education. Because of timing, I used to talk this about 1 hour, at my university, but today they only give me 30 minutes. I will run pretty fast, all right? This is not a Canadian style. Normally in Canada, everything's really, really slow, okay? So yeah, I have to use the Hong Kong pace because I used to work at the University of Hong Kong, for several years. Oh, sorry. What's going on? Okay, so. This is the agenda for today. So after I introduce myself, I really appreciate the moderator briefly introduce myself. Yeah, all right. I need for 30 minutes. I think that your time to ask questions. So after I introduce myself again, so this is a pretty generic sections, components of the SSCI journal. The first I'm going to talk about title, followed by the abstract, introduction, literature review, research context and methods, and then we talk about the findings, discussions, then conclusion. I just share some experience for your consideration. I hope it will be helpful for you writing. And this is me. This one, actually, this copyright belongs to Professor Tim. I just found it funny, right? So, yeah. But I like this one. It's very interesting, right? So it's created by the ChatGPT. So I got my doctorate degree. The first time my bachelor degree is from China. I'm the Northern Chinese. Northern Chinese, a little bit taller. My hometown is very close to Korea. North Korea. Just 1,000 meters, not 1,000 kilometers. Just across the river, another side is Korea. So some people think I'm Korean. Even the South Korean people, my South Korean students say, "Oh, are you Korean?" I say no, because we are very close, right? My bachelor degree from China, can you imagine? My bachelor degree is chemistry education, trained by the chemistry teacher. And later I got my master's degrees from University of Leuven, it's Belgium. I studied there for 2 years and got 2 master's degrees, right? But anyway, I ignored that one, just at least the one. It's an MPA. And finally, I think I have to travel again. I got a doctorate degree in 2013 at Ontario Institute for Study and Education, University of Toronto. it's taking a lot of time. I always suggest my students, please don't take PhD. After this is a permanent head damage, right? After, because when I entered the program, my hair is gray, it's like a young boy, but after you graduate, you become like a senior man, right? So this is a permanent head damage. But anyway, so I'm serving as the editor-in-chief of the journal Interchange, Springer, and senior associate editor is Professor Chen. She's very tough, right? So I don't think she's in charge, everything. She knows really well. We got a lot of the submissions from developing countries, particularly, India and Indonesia. Our journal is like a review journal, but we also welcome the empirical studies. I really appreciate everyone can submit you literature reviews. We pretty much appreciate literature reviews. And another thing I'd like to share is, so if you're gonna be famous, really popular in your field, please publish the review journals, review articles, because most of people will cite the publication, cite the review journal article. And I also serve as the co-editor of the International Journal of Educational Policy and Leadership, and welcome to sharing, submitting manuscripts. Particularly for first one, the Journal of Interchange. We are a comprehensive journal. We welcome different kind of linguistics and the educational politics, educational leadership, and educational change, right? So you can Google online, so all the information there. We have a good journal already about 50 years, even same age as me. I'm sorry, this heresy that I'm getting old. My name actually is kind of the bird. It's, in all the cultures, we have the like big bird something. My name is like Peng. It's kind of like 1,000 miles a day. This is why I always fly, right? So after I got a bachelor degree, fly to Belgium, then Canada, go back to Hong Kong, and fly back to Canada, right? So everywhere. Now I'm here, right? So this is my brief information. Research interest. But I listed 6 research interests. Nowadays, I mainly focus on the teacher leadership and principal emotions, or also focusing on large-scale educational reform, and also focusing on the school improvement. If there anyone, I'm recruiting PhD students internationally, so if you'd like to work with me, so please feel free to send me the email, right? So everything's online. So this is my research interest. All right, so this is my recent publication. This one is about published by the Springer. This is the first book in the world. Of course, I don't think it's perfect, but when I was associate professor, it's about transforming the low-performing schools in China in the world. This is the first one in the world. And then this one, actually, we have the Professor Hariri. Is one of the important contributors. Most important represent Indonesia. This is so far. This is in the world. This is the first book about improving low-performing school from the Southeast Asian perspective. We include 11 countries, right? All 8 Asian countries. So this is very comprehensive. Thank you, Professor Howard. Take us about 3 years, a long time, right? It's not easy. And this one, I work with Professor Chen. She's a great professor and good collaborator. We published a book, Educational Leadership and Asian Culture. As Asian, I'm always proud of our culture. I will elaborate later because, I jumped different cultures. I pretty much found a lot of great advantage of our Asian culture. Okay, we'll talk about later. And this book published by Routledge in 2025. And this one is the most recent book. It's Understanding Teacher Leadership in Educational Change. So far, this is the first book in the world talking about a relationship between teacher leadership and educational change. Be proud of ourselves because in the list, we are the only Asians in the list, in the Routledge list, right? So we're proud of Asians, right? We represent Asians. Sorry, I'm joking. Reference us, but we're proud of our identity. And this one is the most recent book. I collaborated a distinguished scholar from Australia, University of Melbourne, David Goh. If you are a leadership scholar, you might have heard about him, right? So he's a really tough guy, right? So I work with him. We published a book. Unfortunately, this module we don't include any global source. We mainly focus on the global norms. The future gap is for you to, or we can work together to get a book for global norms because we are growing, right? So it's also very important in the world. So this book is most recent, but it can give you the sense what happens in global norms, right? So you can get access to your online library. Okay, so this is myself. What is SSCI from your perspective? So we have the colleagues, and we have the PhD student here. Before I start, I'd like to ask this question. What is SSCI from your perspective? We invite a couple audience to share, please. Who can share? Don't be shy, you know? In Canada, everyone just like that.
Anyone maybe wants to share your thoughts related to SSCI on your own perspective?
Yeah, from your perspective.
SSCI.
We are very humble, right? So even I'm in Canada, you know, I'm just hiding somewhere. When I just applied for the promotion, my colleague just shocked. How come you have so many publications? I think because I'm Asian, I'm very humble, right? I don't show off, right? So anyway, so SSCI is abbreviation for Social Science Citation Index Journals. Why we focus on that? So particularly in Asian context, or Asian Pacific context, we focus on this. All these journals are very high quality, right? Particularly, you know, where I used to work in at University of Hong Kong, everything is SSCI, not just like average SSCI, just like Q1, particularly Chinese University of Hong Kong. So the dean told me, Peng, if you want to move to us, so everything should be Q1, so you're going to kill me, right? So everything is Q1. So it's very good journal, but why we focus on SSCI? SSCI framing the meaningful problem, research problem. It's very meaningful, theoretically and practically. Okay, so this is the first one. And the secondly is engage with the theory and the debate. You see, it's a debate. It's very engaging, in other words, engaging the academic conversation. I'm going to elaborate later. And also use a very rigorous research method. You know, particularly from the European perspective, nowadays, almost all the English journals, particularly SSCI journals, are focusing on the European way of the research method. We have no choice at this moment, right? So we appreciate the Asian way of doing research, indigenous method of research. But nowadays, many journals just focus on the very rigorous European perspective of the research methods. And also produce the insight, go beyond the something you started, right? So have the very broad significance. All right, but how are we going to write it? How are we going to write SSCI? I'm going to elaborate. Writing the SSCI, the first step, we have to write a good title. But from your perspective, what's a length? What's a limit for a good title? What's a word limit for a good title, please? You know, in Canada, we always use the please, sorry. You know, Canadian people always say about, like, I think more than 50 times, sorry, everything is sorry. Yeah, please.
It's maybe minimum 20 words, 20.
Yeah, 20 is good, 20 is appropriate, but the best one, I think, is rule of the thumb, it's about 10 to 15. Yeah, 10 to 15, all right? So this is the best one, it's 10 to 15. Thank you, but that's 20 is a very good number. Mine is 20, all right? Thank you. Thank you for your support. So I have a question for colleagues and students here. From my title, my paper, could you please evaluate a little bit? Because we are all scholars, right? We have to be very critical. We need to have the critical mindset. From this one, you have the two questions here. What is the central research question from this article, based on this title? And what is the main research method used in this title? Or third question might be, how do you think about this? It's good or bad? No worries, okay? You know, even when I teach my Canadian students, they don't care. They say, I can like you talking, okay? I'm my own topic. I need to write I can even write a better topic. Please, from your perspective, these first two questions, and also think about the strengths and the weaknesses of this title. I'm pretty sure your English is pretty good. Please. Yes, please.
Yes, Bali, could you please help?
Yeah, please. I think it's like the button. Yeah.
Right. I think you can hear my phone, right?
Yeah, of course, please.
I think from the first question, the central research question is the teacher's perspective. It's what are the teacher's perspective on the teacher's capacity building by using teacher's workshop.
How you think the colleagues and students here? How you think about these gentlemen? This
Sir
concept?
Ariana, could you say it again?
Yeah. How you think? Please, you raise your hand. Yeah, that colleague, please.
Sorry, is there no-
Yeah.
In my opinion, the answer of number one is correct. It's talking about the teacher perspective, because the first lines we need to know the key of the how to the understanding of the role as a teacher by the teacher's perspective.
Okay.
Okay, and the question number two. Can
What
you
is the
say-
main research method you did this?
According to me, the answer of question number two is qualitative methods.
Yeah.
It's talking about also the teacher perspective. You need to some instruments.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Great. Yeah. How this sounds? I think these two colleagues gave the great answers. So this one is essential. It's about the teacher capacity, right? Understanding the impact of expert teacher workshop on teacher capacity. But what is expert teacher workshop? That's in Chinese context. This paper is written before I ran away from Hong Kong to Canada, right? So I got data from China. So expert teacher workshop is, in China, they always like, excellent teacher to be the boss in one small professional learning community, and teacher work together to support each other workshop and sharing the experience and mentoring each other, okay? This is about expert teacher workshop. And also in China, we talk about nature, so teacher capacity is a problem. What is a turnaround school? Low performing school, right? So in Indonesia context, we might call it low performing school as well, right? Or school in disadvantaged status, feeding schools or school impacted by poverty. Okay, in China we still have some. In Canada, huge amount. Can you imagine? Particularly some indigenous community, we have a loss of the, sorry, Prime Minister of Canada is not here. We still have a lot of discriminations for indigenous. This word always, we need social justice. All right. So it's about school impacted by power. All right. So basically, what's a requirement to have a good title when you write the paper, write a paper? To be concise and also highlight the key points. For this one, the key points, we have the expert teacher workshop and also the influence of expert teacher workshop on teacher capacity. Okay, so key information should be there. And also present with some originality. What is originality? This is an Oriental perspective, Shanghai. Because in English publications, we all have lots of the Western countries perspective. Asian, we are very humble, right? But our perspective is extremely important. Because our worldview is really important. I'm going to talk about later, all right? So basically, when we write the title, it should be concise and highlight the key points, and also have to present some originality, okay? So this is the title. And what is abstract? What is abstract from your perspective? What are the main components of abstract, please?
Anyone?
Anyone can share? We have so many professors and faculties and PhD students.
You may raise your hand if you want to share your thoughts.
Yeah. Please don't be shy, right? So I don't know the name. Sorry.
Don't be shy.
What are the main components of abstract? What are the components? This is a simple question. Just the first one. What are the components of abstract? Please,
Yes,
that's that gentleman, please.
Okay, as far as I know, the abstract is components to underline the background and also maintaining the highlight of the result and also the discussion of the research and also the conclusion.
Oh, pardon me, I'm sorry, the last one.
The last is conclusion.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank
What
you.
else? Thank you, that's very good. So what else, please?
Any other opinion?
Yes,
I
we have
guess
that.
we have to add the method.
Excellent. Yeah, method. All right. Could you please briefly read this one? I think everyone here, you have very good English, right? So this is my abstract. After you read it, could you tell me what are the elements, what are the main components of abstract, please? I give you 1 more minute, all right? Because my time is limited. I'm sorry. 1 minute.
Take your time, bro.
No, just 1 minute, please. Okay, time's up, please. Who will say something? Please.
Okay, saya mulai.
Right, thank you very much. My name is Yanwar, by the way.
Nice to meet you.
I think the component of this abstracts
Yes.
includes first its objectives,
Yes.
and second its participants and the research method,
Yes.
and then the third is the findings.
Yes.
And yeah, I think those three components.
Okay. What else, please? That's excellent. Very good. What else, please? We have so many colleagues here. Yeah.
I think it could be the research methods and also
Excellent.
the samples, with the sample of these.
Excellent. What else?
I think
All right. Yeah. One more. Last but not least, please. Represent Universitas laptop, please. Who will be last one? All right. So because of timing, we can come up later. If you read the abstract, this is very important because when I added book, I found some colleagues, most of them have very good sense, but some don't have the good sense about components of abstract. This is particularly very important in SSCI writing, right? So Professor Chen, maybe later you can share your experience. From my perspective, it's really important because, I'm a journal editor. Sometimes I read an abstract, I got 200 words abstract, just found it really annoying and just give the text to reject, right? You don't know how to write an abstract, how come you write a good article, right? And first one, objectives, excellent. And also research methods, and followed by the sample, excellent. And also I need to add one more, sampling method. For instance, you can use sampling method. How you get participants, okay? Like for instance, proposing sampling or something, right? And key finding. You don't have to talk about all the findings, but you have to talk about the key findings. This is really important because sometimes you got some very nice, very fancy findings, just attract the editors. We're gonna, I love to read this one, right? So go deeper, read more. Because, we are doing volunteer job for the editor-in-chief. I don't have time to take 3 hours to go through everything. Just read introduction, just go through the structures. Particularly if your abstract is really helpful. I received it from some countries. Some authors, they write like 300 words abstract. My goodness, right? Oh, this is the problem. Normally, I think 100 words or 150 would be sufficient, okay? SSCI. And also, another important element is brief theoretical and practical implications. This is very important. This is as a concluding sentence in the abstract. You have to talk. My study contribute to the social-emotional learning theory, theoretically, and practically, my study contribute to Indonesia and primary education at large. I'm clear about that? And also contribute to the world, other developing worlds, or develop the world broadly. I'm clear about that? So theoretical significance and also practical significance. This is the structure of abstract. Okay, then because of time, we talk about introduction. So, what are the main components of introduction? I'm pretty sure we have so many great scholars here. So, from your perspective, what are the main components of introduction, please?
Anyone?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Sorry,
Right. I think at least there would be three components of introductions.
Yes.
First is the problems that you want to solve that become the background of your research. And second is the research context, previous studies that has been conducted with that. And the third, I think, why your research is important and what kind of implications or contributions that your research will be able to contribute. So three aspects.
Okay.
Problems, previous studies, and the implication of your study.
Excellent. You must publish a lot, right?
No.
Welcome to
Not yet. Hopefully under your supervision I will publish.
No. Study with Dr. T, please. Okay, what else, please? One more.
Main components in introduction.
One more. You can add up, please. You can stand up. Just use your teacher's voice, right? Please. Yes, we have this gentleman, please.
Sorry, I'm in Indonesia. Yeah.
I can understand. I'm sorry.
Component in the introduction is background problem. So theoretical framework.
Okay. Yeah. Very good.
And so yeah, get results.
Research guys.
Yep.
Excellent. So make it together. We're gonna have a very good introduction. Okay. Thank you. So what are the main components in SSCI? Particularly, in our field, we have the top journalists, Education Management, Administration, and Leadership. Dr. Tian published a lot, represent Southeast Asia, right? So we're proud of it. Even some colleagues tell just a message, Dr. Tian, please don't publish more here, right? So that is enough, all right? Okay, give you applause, right? So that's it. All right, so what are the main components of introduction? The first one is objective of this research. I really agree with this gentleman. This is another word, also can be called the research gap. And its other word is, in this section, first part, or we call it the first paragraph. This is extremely important, because this should be the eye-catching, right? So you have to track the reader's attention. I think you're great. So the first, in this paragraph, normally the first sentence should be what? Should be like a micro background, right? For instance, the recent educational reform in Indonesia about traditional education or balance of traditional education and modern education, right? So this is just a simple example or metaphor. This the first sentence. Then you're going to say something. You can say, oh, but there's a problem when we implement this change, right? So you set up the macro context. You also set up the hook, right? This is a hook. Just use hook to attract attention. People will say, oh, what's the problem there? I'd like to read it, right? So this is in first paragraph. Then you're going to talk about, for instance, you're going to say, oh, but in Indonesia context, particularly Indonesia low-performing school context, teacher capacity is a problem. We also not many study of this aspect. So you set up the macro context, you give the hook, you also point in your research objective in the first paragraph. I'm clear about that? So in first paragraph, there's also another like a tips to share with everyone. You better to use the original literature, old literature, and use the most recent literature. Why do we have to use the most recent literature in first paragraph? Please. Why? Who can share? So use the most recent literature to demonstrate your study is the up-to-date, the newest study. Because in Western context, Wherever in Belgium, my Chinese student asked the professor, why do you have to do the literature review, right? And because in China, wherever in Chinese context, even now, if you understand Chinese, you read Chinese, most of the publications, it's no literature review, because that's most like commentary. I'm not sure in the Indonesia context. So no literature review. But in Western context, in particularly SSCI journal, your study should be the up-to-date, okay? So that demonstrates your study, it's a really new study, okay? This is the first paragraph. In second paragraph, you have to demonstrate the original value of this study. How are you going to do that? In second paragraph, you have to write a very concise, very good literature review, summarize of your literature review. In that second paragraph, you also have to use the old, very classical literature on this topic, and also you have to use the most recent literature, okay? And this one actually is the same to your doctor's thesis or master thesis. So you have to demonstrate in your study it's really new. I'm clear about that? So second paragraph is to write a very good literature review on this topic. What about the third paragraph? You're going to briefly talking about your research method. Okay, so what kind of research method are you going to use? For addressing the research gap, I'm going to use the multiple case study. And the fourth paragraph, you still have to talk about the theoretical significance and also the practical significance. Okay, so this is about an introduction. I think so for SSCI journal, top journal, introduction is extremely important because that have to demonstrate in that about 500 words, right? Up to 10, 500 words. You have to demonstrate you really understand the literature. You have to write very beautiful introduction and to attract the attention of the editor-in-chief. Okay, otherwise you got a test reject in some journal. All right. Okay, so this is about the introduction. Okay, because of timing, we have to jump. So what is the literature review? We will talk about the literature review. So what is the literature review from your perspective, please?
During the main aspects we usually have in literature review.
Yeah, so what is the literature review?
An idea?
An
What
idea.
main aspects that we usually have in a literature review?
Yeah.
Anyone wants to share their thought? Bapak Ibu, monggo.
Please, yeah.
We have
Please, you just use the teacher voice, please.
Okay. In my opinion, literature review is one of the important things that we have to consider in our article because in this literature review we have to bring all the theories that support our research, the theories, the best theories that we use for our research, and also we can see how up to date our problems or our research topic based on the literature review that we put. Also, maybe we have to make it into like 5 years recently theories or maybe previous research. I think that's one of the things.
Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, it's very close. Thank you. So what else? One more. Last but not least, because of timing.
one more opinion?
Yeah.
Identifies the gap.
Excellent. Yeah, this is one purpose of the literature review. Literature review, simply put, there's different views. Some of my students say it's a simply summarize of the literature. How do you think about this? How do you think about this statement, please?
No, I think we need to analyze critically what literature has been said related to our research, and then try to connect what is the research gap between what has already been done
Excellent.
and what we are going to do.
Okay, I'll put it on your hot seat. So how are you going to analyze it?
I think it's not only presenting. Here in Indonesia, we have the weakness of just presenting the literature, but not critically analyze how this literature will relate and support your research.
Excellent. Okay, you talk about the second aspect. I'm going to talk about that. Literature review. if my student in Canada, they just think, just like flow chart, actually it's not right. Literature review is about a synthesis. Synthesis. What is a synthesis? It's mainly about compare and contrast. We have to identify the pattern. Compare is to identify the commonalities. Compare is and also we have to do what? Contrast. Contrast is to do what? To identify the differences. Okay? Compare to identify the patterns. So in literature review, the common problem from the supervisor's perspective or from the editor's perspective, one common problem is student or the author just write like a flow chart. A 2021 say something, B 2022 say something, L 2026 say something. It's awful, right? Just like I said, normally I am just a desk check, right? So it's you don't know how to write a literature review, how you're going to write a good article, right? Now, this is a foundation. So you have to identify the pattern. What are the commonality of the literature, and what are the differences of the literature? This is the first step. And the second step, what are you going to do? I think this gentleman is very intelligent. It's to critical and analyze the literature. So all the literature reviews, particularly for SSCI, they expect you to identify the strengths and also the weakness of the literature. Then weakness could be the gap. I'm clear about what? Just the two aspects, commonality and differences. This is the first one. And second is identify the gap. The gap could be the research problem. Okay? And in literature review, the third point I need to point out is you have to include the key, historically key literature past, the oldest literature, and you also have to identify the most recent literature, making you just situating your study in the most recent literature. You study is up to date. Unclear? All right. So this is about literature review. And after literature review, what are we going to do? And also in literature review, after we compare and contrast, and we critique, identify the gap. And finally, we have to do what? We have to clearly define the definition of the variable or factor in your study. Okay? What concept we have to use? Okay? What's your definition of the variable or factors in your study? For instance, in my study, in current study, teacher capacity was defined as the teacher's knowledge, instruction skills, and the professional dispositions following the someone's in 2028. I'm clear on that? So at the end of your section, you have to clearly define what the definition of the variable. Okay? And then after that, we're going to talk about the research context. Particularly when we have I'm not sure who's going to do quantitative study. I think quantitative study you can ask Dr. Peng. And for qualitative study, we have to focus on the context. Okay, we have to describe the context. For instance, in this study in Shanghai, there's 3 schools. We have to describe how many students they have, right? So the past history of these schools, just to give the people's sense, because qualitative study, we pretty much focusing on the context, okay? For instance, for this one, School A has about 700 students, and compared with other 2 schools, the facilities and resources of this school were good. However, due to its remote geographic location, this school found it difficult to enroll the college students. This school has a reasonable distribution of teacher demographics with the teachers at different career stages, but it was categorized as a turnaround school with a low student achievement. The distribution of teachers in different career stages or important criteria for its selection. Teacher capacity in this school was at a medium level compared with other schools. So you have to describe the key information of this case. Okay, this is about context description. Okay, And also, you have to describe the demographic information of your participants. For instance, the gender, age, and particularly the educational context. Teachers at different career stages, they might have the different perceptions on certain things, right? So we have to clearly list their years of working experience, okay? And also methods. We will have the methods. So there's the different tips I'd like to share with you. So in research methods, we really have to, for instance, in my study, I use the multiple case studies, 3 types of the schools. But I have to justify why use the literature to justify why I have to use the literatures. I'm sorry, why I have to use this method. Okay, this is extremely important because SSCI, in other words, each step you have to provide a justification. Use the literature. I'm clear on that? Okay, and also clearly list the sample size. And also we have to describe the sample criteria very clear. For instance, you use the purposive sampling, right? You use the purposive sampling. What are your criteria? You use like senior teachers or you use like principals, right? So years of working experience. And you better to justify why you set up this criteria. So your criteria should be aligned with what? Your research problem and your research objective. I'm clear on that? So all your research methods, all your literature review should be aligned with each other, should be very logic. In other words, should be a very logic. I'm clear on that? All right, the first point is you have to clearly define consent, describe the sampling process, right? So how you get approach the samples, and also the data pass the ethical review, particularly nowadays, right? So yeah, they have very strict ethical review. You need to get ethical protocol approved by the university. You get a code, otherwise you got trouble later, right? So this is very important. And also clearly describe the data analysis and provide examples and how, particularly in qualitative study, please describe how you ensure the reliability and validity. In qualitative study, we really call about trustworthiness, right? How you ensure, how you triangulate data. For instance, in my study, I use like a data document analysis, observation to triangulate the data from the interview, okay? How you ensure trustworthiness. It's very detail-oriented, but there is some rules, generic rules, just follow the step by step. This is a research method. Okay, finding, how are we going to write the finding? So when we write the findings, what are we going to do? We have to, when we write the findings, we should, the most important, new findings should be clearly presented in qualitative study. You're going to ask me, how are we going to clearly describe? In today, this morning, I wake up because the jet lag, I'm still in the Manitoba time, 12 hours difference, right? So this morning I wake up at 4 p.m. I'm just screening some submissions. I found one college study, they never use the quotation. So quotation in qualitative study is extremely important because that makes you study very, like a win-win, right? So because, this is the beauty of the qualitative study. Use some quotation from the interviewees, make you study it's very beautiful. All right? So this is a finding, presenting the findings. So you can see here, for my study, for instance, one earlier career teacher response. For me, the expert teacher workshop is not only the knowledge hub, but like a family to help you to grow all the aspects of your careers. Okay? So just make it very interesting, right? Particularly, nowadays, many journal, SSCI journal, to be honest, controlled by the qualitative researchers, right? They see if you don't have the quotations, what's the problem? Sorry, go somewhere else, right? So this is problematic. Okay, discussion. This is extremely important. Discussion is another important part of the SSCI journal. I said, when I screening the article, I found some discussion. They don't use the citation. This is one problem. And another problem is the user citation is very old. literature. Again, when you discuss something, please use the most recent literature. That demonstrates your study is up to date. Okay? In discussion part, what we're going to do? We have to compare with the past research to identify, my study echoes the past study, and also have some differences. In some differences, this is your new finding. Most of the time, the reviewers, they're going to see the new findings. I'm going to talk about later, give you some strategy. So new findings is extremely important. If you already study echo the past of the research, what's the value of your research? Right? So what's the value of your what's the value of your research? And also focus on the earlier and most recent. And also you have to focus on the theoretical contribution. This is extremely important. All right, and now 5 minutes. And when we have the conclusion, we have to summarize the key findings and state the theoretical contributions. We also connect to the literature as well. Okay, connect to the literature as well. Particularly for SSCI journals, we have to demonstrate our understanding all the key, important, and also most recent literature. No matter in discussion part and also conclusion part. In discussion part, we have to use the literature to demonstrate, to elevate our findings to a new level. Particularly, you have to emphasize your theoretical contribution, emphasize your new findings. Okay? All right. The final words. I'm going to done, right?
Yes.
Please participate in journal talk and meet with the journal editors in the conference. They know, you have to know their expectation. And also please read the most recent publication in the journal and identify the trends in their perspective and the methodology. The methodology is all the change. Particularly I talk to my colleagues in the business field, the management field. They have a very new, brand new method we never use, okay? So SSCI, they pretty much expect you to use some innovative method, not just, I selected 10 people to interview. It's too generic, okay? And the third one, please familiarize yourself with the key academic debates. This is extremely important, okay? So you have to know the academic debates in your field. This is will make you study distinguished from other submissions, okay? So how are you going to do that? Please read and read and read, okay? So this is the only strategy I can recommend it. And also please, in Chinese culture, I guess Indonesian culture is the same, right? Similar. So please draw a tiger using the cat as a model, right? So this Chinese culture, we cannot meet with the tiger. Tiger gonna eat you, right? But we can, we can approach the cat, right? Find some good articles and try to write your own, okay? To identify some strengths and weaknesses to write your own. And also another one I'd like to point out, Asian wisdom and indigenous knowledge to the world. Nowadays, in the trend, particularly in social science field, we focus on indigenous knowledge, right? Like Indonesian knowledge. This could be your contribution to the work, because Western countries, they already do the job. But if this study implemented in Asian context, in Indonesia context, you might have the brand new findings, right? Okay, the last one, so important Indonesia cultural writings, right? So you can find this. Indonesia, if I'm wrong, sorry, I'm not Indonesia, but I learned something. Could be wrong, right? It could be offensive. Mutual cooperation, respect elders in Chinese culture is the same. And also family, community first, and Chinese culture is also very similar to Indonesia culture. Religious harmony, multicultural society, and the consensus decision-making, hospitality, modesty, and politeness. I found people here are very polite, and unity in diversity, respect for tradition, collective harmony. These cultural values, which is different to the European culture, which can interest to the what? To the editor. Okay? This is our Asian strengths and how we can contribute to the international literature. Alright? And also this is a national flag, right? So I put in the sky. And also what is unique to a nation is what speaks to the world. share with everyone. I'm really looking for your contributions to the work. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Liu, for the fruitful, insightful, and valuable presentation, and also energetic presentation. You may have some drink first before we proceed to the next session. Really, it was very interesting. Really good presentation. Bapak Ibu, ladies and gentlemen, now we open the floor for discussion. For those who are having questions or you would like to share your thoughts regarding the SSCI article publication, you can share, Ms. Ima. Yeah. Please raise your hand and briefly introduce your name and your study program. Thank you. She just waits.
Thank you very much for the chance. And good morning, Mr. Liu.
Peng.
Yeah, just call me Peng, that'll be okay. Yeah, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, this is very interesting topic that you present in the front of us.
Yes, please.
So actually, I'm in line with you about the presenting of the articles. Especially for academic articles, this is focusing on like in the findings. In Indonesia, we have some problems like in the findings we presented the biography of school rather than the informants or respondents themselves.
Okay.
So also in the method section, we sometimes forgot to insert like researchers' bias, ethical consideration, and research ethics, and in the discussion part, sometimes the researchers also forgot to compare about our similarities and also differences between our findings and relevant studies and previous studies and our literature review. So what is your perspective about this one? And when I see the SSCI's background, my question is what are the differences between SSCI papers rather than ordinary journal articles?
This is a very good question. Actually, in terms of the structure of the papers, journal article, actually is very similar. But like what I suggested, so for the SSCI, first step, when we choose the topic should have a very strong theoretical contribution or practice contribution. For instance, my study is about effects of PLC, professional learning community, which is the very common research gap, no matter in Western countries and also the East Oriental countries, right? So this is why they accepted give me a chance to have the review. Okay, this is the first step. Because I think it's very generic, ordinary journals, sometimes the topic is just like repeating something, simply repeating something. Actually, it's a very experienced, like a scholar like Dr. Peng. She can immediately recognize this topic already well studied. For instance, nowadays we focus on teacher efficacy in Indonesia. I'm pretty sure if you do the qualitative study, you invite 10 people to conduct interview, you can publish in an ordinary journal. But for the top tier, like SSCI journal, I think it cannot be accepted. Okay, can be desperately rejected because it's well studied. It's well studied. It cannot truly feed the current research debate. Or the research method is not innovative. I'm clear here? Yeah. So that's why in SSCI, your research problem should be, join the current most important research debate. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about the researcher's bias on ethical consideration in research? Should we provide in our article and explained in the part of
Yeah.
academic.
Yeah, for the research ethics, you have to list the ethical code from your institute. Yeah, this is the first one. And what about next one? So, how you ensure the trustworthiness, right? So we have to describe. For instance, in my study, I used data document analysis and I used observation. That could be triangulation. So you have to describe in your research method how you ensure the reliability and the validity. This is very important. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Did you get the point? Crystal clear?
Yeah, I think it's mostly important if you want to get your paper published in SSCI journal, you have to know the current hot topic and the hot debate. This is the first one. Research problems should be very good. And second, your research method should be very innovative. If you read Dr. Tian, Professor Tian's article, because his article normally in educational science, educational studies, we just use a linear regression something. But Dr. Tian used like innovative curve, right? Use the curve methods, right, to study on the education effect of educational leadership. This is pretty innovative. No one do it, When the editor read it, wow, this is a brand new. Normally, the editors, for instance, we are the editor, we know some important topic or current, like cutting edge problems, research topic. Yeah, this is why I suggest you to read more journals and also talk to the journal articles, or even you can send an email to the journal editors and what are your recent focus. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Prof.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, as we have already received 3 questions from one person, we will open one more question, one last question. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we have 2 gentlemen actually. Which one?
Survey.
This one.
Yeah,
Yes,
this one.
Professional learning community research in China is growing rapidly.
Sorry.
PLC.
Yeah, PLC.
Yes. How to empirically AI and PLC?
Oh wow, that's a good question. To be honest, I'm away from China for 8 years. Now I'm just like a little bit embarrassing, for Asia. I'm just part of the Western countries and part of Asian countries. But based on my knowledge, so the shared knowledge in this perspective, now AI is widely used in China, and also Chinese government formulated a policy to facilitate artificial intelligence. Now, if you visit Chinese schools, you can find, I recently read the publication from the one Chinese scholar. Chinese government just formulated a policy they have the 5-year plans to implement artificial intelligence in the classroom. It's widely used. Our Asian countries, we do something really fast, I think including the Indonesia. But in developing countries, including Canada, we do everything really slow. We need a meeting, we need to talk, we need to discuss. Right? Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
But the AI and the PLC is a great topic. If you're going to write an excellent review, please submit to our journal.
My research is AI, about AI.
Yeah, now recently our journal, if you don't mind, you like our journal, you can write a very comprehensive review in this topic, no matter Indonesia context or Asian context or international context. Please do submit to our journal. You can talk to Professor Tim. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. After dealing with the committee, we agree to open one last question.
Yes.
Because our microphone is there already.
Okay, thank you very much for the very insightful session in this morning, Mr. Liu. Okay, Indonesia have many like local culture, unique local culture. Sometimes we include the game local culture into the curriculum. So, but after the struggle to get published in top-tier journal, many our submissions are rejected because are perceived the being too provincial or the lacking global significance. My question is, in your experience, what is the best strategy to bridge this highly specific local culture, finding with broader global discourse? How can we frame our local data so it's resonant with the international editor and contribute to universal character.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I know actually my hearing is really bad recent days, right? So last day, one local gentleman, I
Yeah.
just asked him. We were having the breakfast together. I asked that gentleman how old. I look. You know what that gentleman said? It's too old. You look like 65. My goodness. my uncle is 65. It's like, my hearing, I'm joking, my hearing is not very good. But if I interpret your question probably just how to connect local literature to international literature. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is very good question. This is common challenge for ancient countries. So first the strategy, read. Okay, international literature. And the second, just found the generic term of international literature. This is the second suggestion. For instance, in my case, in my study, professional learning community is the generic concept across the all cultures. I'm clear to you? And the third step, we have to identify the specific term enters the PLC in Indonesia context. That is your unique contribution to the international literature and could be interest to the international academic conversation. Okay, from the Indonesia perspective. And also I sincerely suggest you to pay attention to the cultures. Culture really matters. This is why we added book, Educational Leadership and Asian Culture. Because I studied in China, I studied in Belgium, I studied in Canada, I teach in China, Hong Kong, and also Canada. I really feel that actually across the cultures, there are some differences in terms of the leadership style, and also there are some commonalities. We are human beings, but we are also have some differences. So the differences part is very interesting, right? For instance, you probably people, Oriental people, we are Asian. We are still, before I started in Canada, I assume, we are in a democratic country. Canada is a democratic country. We don't have dictatorship. Canada no dictatorship. This is wrong because I'm teaching the in-service teacher. Many in-service teachers complain to me. We have the dictatorship school principal. It's very interesting. This is why we do. This is the beauty of qualitative study. We have truly entered the context, cultural context, to understand what happens there. And also, we need to, being the social science researcher, we need to pay attention to the culture. It's extremely important. Okay? And make a conclusion. First is that we need to have a generic term, like a PLC. And also, we have to think about in our Indonesia context, what is our unique form of professional learning community? If you study on this unique form of the PLC, this is your contribution from the Indonesia perspective. Okay? Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Is it clear, sir?
It's good.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll give a big applause. That was a very
Thank you.
helpful discussion.
Welcome to Winnipeg. I call it Winterpeg because now before I'm leaving to beautiful country Indonesia on May 7th, it will be 40 hours here. So we are still snowing. Can you imagine? Our coldest time is like -15. Can you imagine? Welcome to Winterpeg. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Now we come to the conclusion part of this session. Once again, big applause for Professor Peng. So, as moderator, I would like to briefly conclude today's session about this SSCI article publication that has been presented by Professor Peng previously. It was such a fruitful presentation. He explained very detailed from the introduction until the last part, which also mentioned several main aspects in each session or in each part. So, thank you so much, Prof. Peng. Ladies and gentlemen, after this we will proceed to delivering symbols of appreciation. So, actually our campus has something special for our distinguished speaker and our collaborative partner. So, after this we will have a moment to deliver plakat or symbols of appreciation from FAIP, from the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Lampung, to our distinguished speaker, Dr. Peng, and also Dr. Tien. Could you please move here right in front of the podium and May we also ask Prof. Hassan to be the representative of the Faculty of Teacher Training Committee? May I ask you